I think it's safe to say that we're all aware as real estate agents that the market's not always going to be as crazy as it is today. Now, to give you some context, when I first got my license back in 2017 here in Calgary, Alberta, it was one of the slowest markets in North America, where only about 27% of listed homes actually sold. So that's where I got started, was when the market was actually really bad. But a lot of people right now are in the market when it's really good, and they think that it's always going to be this incredible and property selling in one day over list price and all this crazy stuff, but it's not. So what I want to do in this video is explain to you how to become recession proof, in the sense of the market inevitably at some point will correct. It will be more difficult to get business. A lot of listings are not going to sell like they are today, especially at the prices that they are. So I want to make sure that from my experience, you can prepare yourself for when that day comes, because if you start doing these activities now, you're going to make yourself proof to anything that happens in the future, especially unexpected things like we've had to deal with in the last couple of years. So let's break things down and talk about the 4 things you need to do in order to make sure that it doesn't matter which market you're in, you're always going to crush it. What's up, guys? My name is Mike Sherrard. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, if you don't know who I am, I train thousands of agents every single year to scale their business with social media and with EXP Realty. But let's dive into the 4 things that you need to do in order to make sure that no matter which market's going on, you're always at the top of it. So starting with advertising and marketing, this is what a lot of people get confused, is advertising is paid and it's a luxury. And when you look at it, marketing, it is free and it's essential. And this is really important because a lot of people focus solely on running their business in terms of advertising, and they're always looking to pay to play, generate leads, which is fine, but there's always going to be a cap there. There's always going to be a capacity that reach. And this has certain limitations, because when you start spending more money, your cost per lead goes up, your conversion goes down because you're dealing with more leads, and it just becomes more difficult. So when you start looking at where a lot of agents go wrong, is they're focusing primarily on advertising and generating leads with a pay to play method. But this is, again, a luxury. This is not essential. Marketing is essential. What marketing is, instead of paid advertising, is it's organic content. This is things like YouTube videos, TikTok, blogs, right? So it's anything in terms of photos, videos, copy, audio, podcasting, things like that, that are going evergreen. And why this is important, because when you start to build up a database of videos that are very strong, like I've broken down in multiple other videos, especially on things like YouTube, they're evergreen. So even when you put out a video today, in the future, that video is still going to be relevant and it's still going to be attracting you clients. It doesn't matter what happens to these other platforms, because another big thing that a lot of people have been struggling with is you look at things like the iOS 15 and 14 updates. And this screwed a lot of real estate agents, because they didn't know how to run ads if they have to use a special ad category, and if they have to use all these limitations that made it a lot more difficult if you didn't actually know what you were doing. Whereas with marketing and free content, if you continue to deliver value, you are always going to have clients coming directly to you. It doesn't matter what markets it's in, and it doesn't matter what happens with these other platforms as time goes on, or as budget starts to become more expensive. Now, the next thing that's really important to look at is brand. Brand is one of the things that a lot of people are overlooking, because here's a news flash to you. Unfortunately, I hope this doesn't offend anybody, is that your brokerage brand does not matter. I don't care which brokerage you're with, Compass, Sotheby's, Remax, Cowell, EXP, Century 21, it doesn't matter. Your brokerage brand does not matter whatsoever. It is all about your personal brand. And when you look at personal branding, the reason why this is important is because look at consumer behavior. I bet I could ask probably 1,000 agents before Ryan Serhant started the brokerage Serhant, which brokerage he was with, and about 990 probably couldn't have told me which one he was with. People work with you. I've been at the number 1 brokerage in my city in terms of, close volume, things like that. One of the number 1 ones. I've been at a boutique brokerage that nobody heard of before. I've been at EXP Realty, where I'm at now. And it has never made a slight difference as to which brokerage I'm with. Nobody has ever worked with me based on which brokerage I'm with. Nobody has made a decision in a multiple agent listing presentation, to work with me because of which brokerage I was with, or to not work with me because of which brokerage I was with. So your brokerage brand does not matter. It's your personal brand that matters, because ultimately there's going to be brokerages, and there are, that go out of business during the recessions, during declines, but your personal brand, if you build it, that's not going anywhere. because people like, know, trust you. You not just become top of mind, but you remain top of mind. And that is the ultimate goal here, is you want to make sure that you build a brand that not just becomes top of mind, but remains there as well, for a differentiating factor. And this is why it's really important to identify your USP or your UVP, which is your unique value proposition or unique selling proposition that's going to differentiate you from other agents when things hit the fan, or when things just become more difficult or more saturated. So this is really, really important for you to understand, is to identify what makes you unique. Now, this is going to be something that's going to, again, kind of trigger a few people, but it's important to focus on learning. And it's not just the obvious of just continuing to learn like every entrepreneur says. It is actually learning how to do certain things and not just regurgitating. Let me explain. Let's look at things like Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, anything that people do in order to, again, generate leads. Once you've got your marketing dialed, you then go on to start to generate leads using the pay-to-play method, or just anything, CRMs, things like that. What I'm talking about in terms of learning is that most people, unfortunately, regurgitate this information, right? They do these and they follow a tutorial on YouTube or even in my social media training, and they don't actually learn. In the terms of, there's never going to be one perfect ad for every single market, for every single agent, that if you run it every single time, it's going to crush it. It's never going to happen. You have to learn how to identify how to tweak your ads, adjust the copy, adjust the creative, split test different things, kill the ones that aren't doing well, and double down on the ones that are doing well. And one of the biggest problems is, again, people do not want to learn. They just want to copy, paste, mimic, regurgitate. And we all know what happens when we do that. Let's look at university or high school, for example. A lot of us crammed, a lot of us regurgitated information. I'm now multiple years removed from university, and there's no way I could ever do the math equations that I did back when I was taking engineering, because I didn't actually learn it. I regurgitated it just to get my degree, move on, and actually start making some real money. I didn't focus on it, but that's why I'm no longer good at it. Whereas now, when you start to understand things and you start to learn things, this allows you to thrive in any market, because it doesn't matter what's going on. You're always able to make the right adjustments because you actually understand these things. And that's the big thing, is understanding versus just copying. So that's one of the big things. Now, the last one is things like management, right? Looking at things like your CRM, your database, because this is one of the things that, again, if you ask almost any top producing agent, all of them are going to tell you that the majority of their business comes from referrals, right? And we all understand too that what gets measured gets managed. But unfortunately, a lot of agents that struggle during tough markets don't know their conversion percent. They don't know, where the referrals are coming from. They don't have an understanding of how to actually generate business from their database. And most of them don't even use a database. Even agents that I know at EXP, we get KV Core for free, and they still don't use their database. But that's what you should be relying on. And every top producer is doing exactly that. So you need to understand that you need to be nurturing your database. And I've got another video on this, but if you understand how to properly nurture your database, every one deal should turn into 7 more deals in the lifespan of your career. So you're leaving 6 deals every time on the table if you're not properly leveraging your database, which is massive. Can you imagine you could 7x your business over the next couple of years if you just properly leverage your database using these average statistics? But again, you have to understand that if you want to make yourself recession proof, or if you want to make yourself, put yourself in a position to thrive in any market, you have to understand where your deals are coming from, nurturing the people that you already have. Because if you look at any business, they will always tell you that it is way more expensive to acquire a new client or a new customer than it is to resell or get repeat business from somebody that already knows and trusts you, that you've worked with in the past. And that's where a lot of agents go wrong, is they're constantly focusing on getting more and more and more, and not properly leveraging and nurturing and servicing what they already have. So these are the 4 things that will make the biggest difference for you and your business. If you want to make sure that, you're not just riding the gravy train like many agents are, thinking everything's just rosy and buckets of flowers, because at some point it's not going to be like this. And I want to make sure that when it does get a little crazy, you don't get blindsided and you don't have a business that's going to crumble. You actually have a robust foundation that you can build off of and continue to build momentum. So if you have any other questions, just drop a comment below. Hopefully you found value in this. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.